mansion belonging to movie star Jackie Chan has been seized by CCP authorities and is now being put up for auction. Now, details on why this is happening are still thin, but some analysts believe that Jackie Chan may have been targeted by the CCP for alleged tax evasion, and it might go deeper than this. Now, the tax evasion part would relate to promotions he did from 2006 to 2008 for a land company in Beijing, which paid him about 20.6 million renminbi that was directly converted into credit for his purchase. Yet questions are being raised on why now? Why is this happening now, given that Jackie Chan's family lived in that home for about 13 years? And why Beijing authorities seemingly ignored Jackie Chan's influence in China, Hong Kong, and even in the United States at this sensitive time, especially given his relative positive stance on the CCP, again, in order to just seize and auction his mansion. Epoch Times notes this move may be related to factional battles within the Chinese Communist Party. Now, Jackie Chan's ties to the CCP are through the network of former CCP Vice Chairman Zheng Qinghong. He was under the Jiang faction. That's the main faction fighting with the faction of Xi Jinping, the current head of the CCP. And that's also tied to the web of corruption and abuses in China. Jackie Chan's ties lead to the younger brother of Zheng Qinghong, who is Zhen Qinghuai, who controls the CCP's cultural department. Now, the timing of this move appears to be related to the recent end of the CCP's high-level Beidaihe meeting, after which Xi Jinping launched new purges targeting areas of society still controlled by the Jiang faction, again in China's political, legal, financial, cultural, publicity, and health systems. Now, as part of this recent purge, the Xi faction intensively inspected more than a dozen propaganda organizations. Among the targets was Li Jinzhao, who was the Deputy Minister of Culture and Tourism. And then the Xi faction sent a crony, Hu Haiping, to take over the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Within 1 month, from July 17 to August 18, Xiao Jianhua's Tomorrow Holding, which is traded as Tomorrow Group, was taken over. An illegal mining scandal in Qinghai province worth billions was exposed. A bribery case was opened against China Huarong Asset Management chairman, who was Lai Xiaomin. And the chief accountant of COFCO, which is China Oil and Foodstuffs Corporation, Luo Jiazhan, was removed and investigated. Now, these 4 major cases came out one after the next and point to the purging of Zheng Qinghong, again under Jiang's faction, and again tied to Jackie Chan. Within this context, the sudden seizure and auction of Jackie Chan's Beijing mansion points to a possible purge of the entertainment circles of Hong Kong and of mainland China, and also signals that the CCP may be removing power from Zheng Qinghong and also from the Jiang faction's influence over China's cultural industries. And how does Jackie Chan fit in with all of this? As Epoch Times notes, behind Jackie Chan are 2 individuals, Yang Xiaocheng and Dong Ping, who have been the most influential entertainment tycoons in China in recent years. Meanwhile, his main link to the CCP again, Zheng Qinghong, is the former commissioner of the Ministry of Culture in Hong Kong. He's also the behind-the-scenes boss of Zhu Tong, who's the director of CCTV's art and culture programs, and who also controls the CCTV's art and culture departments. So he's known as the behind-the-scenes tycoon of Chinese art and culture circles. CCTV is one of the Chinese regime's main mouthpiece news outlets. Now, it's also been reported that the main job of Zhen Qinghuai, who is that younger brother, after the year 2000, has been united front work for intelligence gathering and also additional work to serve the Jiang faction. Now, through his activities in Hong Kong, he's responsible, allegedly, for collecting information on groups classified as opposition by the CCP. He engages with Hong Kong celebrities to join this united front and also to support the Jiang faction. The mainland political and business figures that Jackie Chan associates with are mostly members of Jiang's faction. And his political orientation also leans strongly towards the interests of the Jiang faction. Now, as a few examples of this, Jackie Chan has publicly supported Hong Kong's Basic Law Article 23 legislation, which was formulated by the Jiang faction specifically for persecuting Hong Kong's Falun Gong practitioners. And the Jiang faction, again, was the architect of that persecution. When the Jiang faction was fully in power, Jackie Chan represented the CCP many times. He also criticized pro-freedom voices in Hong Kong and Taiwan. His remarks caused an uproar across the Taiwan Strait and elsewhere as well, and he was even criticized for being a CCP slave. Now, when mainland Chinese netizens named their top 10 scum, as they called it, back in 2012, they put Jackie Chan on that list. In 2010, a Hong Kong journalist photographed Jackie Chan in Beijing with his Audi RV and a military B license plate. And in March 2013, netizens backed this again by revealing Jackie Chan entered and exited an Audi black car with an Army B license plate. Netizens tracked down and found that the license plate belonged to the CCP's Military General Political Department, which is one of the main political warfare branches of the state.